Hello. It's about to be exam season again. So here we go. We're gonna be talking about nutrition. Yeah, nutrition. And I had already written out the notes for all of it. So we're just gonna go over really quickly on nutrition before I go to school and start my shift, my afternoon shift. Okay. And here we go. Okay. So exam 3 is gonna be about 2 units, I guess, proteins and your body weight. So first we'll start with proteins. So what are proteins? They are made of amino acids linked by peptide bonds, and on a more molecular level, they're made of a carbon group, an amine group, which is NH3, an acid group or carboxyl group, and then a side chain, which is labeled R. Some essential amino acids are histidine, lysine, methionine, valine, tryptophan, and phenylalanine. Non-essential amino acids include alanine, arginine, asparagine, cysteine, glutamine, glycine, and tyrosine. And some amino acids are usually non-essential, but they can be essential under some special conditions, such as PHE. I think that's phenylalanine, and no, it's not. Anyways, PHE and MET. That's all you need to know. Precursors are essential to synthesize tyrosine and cytosine. And then essential amino acids are essential during illness and stress when the body can't make it anymore. Arginine, proline, and glutamine are essential when rapid growth surpasses their biosynthesis. And there's a higher need for glutamine during hypercatabolic states like infections or disease. Digested proteins can be broken down into an amino acid pool, and then from there they can be used for energy production or glucose or fatty acid synthesis or non-protein molecule synthesis. Polypeptide chains, so you have primary structure, which is an amino acid sequence, secondary, which is alpha helices and beta sheets held by hydrogen bonds. You have tertiary, which is a 3D structure, and then quaternary, which is a polypeptide chain subunit. So there's lots of variety within proteins. You got classes, globular, fibrous, and membrane, and then you have coiling from chain to strand to coiling to coil folding to joining other proteins. Then you have shape that affects performance and function of that protein. Then you have stranding. They can either be alone or associated. The sequence alterations can be inherited, and there's variety in nutrients and gene expression. So hemoglobin is a protein containing iron that facilitates oxygen transport. The presence of valine instead of glutamic acid on that hemoglobin can lead to sickle cell shape. Denaturation is a change in the 3D structure of a protein that renders it useless, for example, cooking or digestion. So protein synthesis, you got transcription, which is DNA to mRNA, translation, which is mRNA or tRNA linking to form proteins, and then post-translation, which is when the completed proteins are released, mRNA degrades, and then free tRNA repeats the translation process. So you got some types of protein digestion. So the stomach has HCl, which denatures the protein, and then pepsin forms smaller peptides. And then the small intestine has pancreas protease that form small free amino acids, free amino acids, and also has peptidase, which helps digest that. Okay, so absorption, the transport proteins pick them up, then they'll go to the capillaries, then the portal vein, then the liver, and then the blood. And then for infant digestion, breastfeeding can allow like small antibodies passing from the mother to the baby. This is basically passive immunity, and this is by small protein absorption. Now, if you introduce this baby to solid foods early on in the pregnancy or early on in their life, this can make the baby at risk for developing allergies. So just keep that in mind. So the functions, they build new tissue and replace worn out cells. They regulate gene expression. They provide structure and movement of muscle tissue. Transporting substances such as hemoglobin and lipoproteins. They maintain fluid and electrolyte balance and also base balance via protein buffers. They are in charge of blood clotting, for example, coagulation factors. and then they can turn into glucose to maintain the blood level in urea. There's no storage form for proteins in the body, so basically what happens is their amine groups are removed, and then those amino acid residues are used for energy. So for example, glucose to glycogen, and then fatty acids to triglycerides. What you do need to know as well is amino acid wasting conditions, which is like the body lacking energy from other sources, the diet supplies more protein than the body needs, and then the body has too much of an amino acid from supplements, and then the diet supplies proteins of too low quality. This can all lead to amino acid wasting in the body. So, how you can prevent this is by having an adequate quality of dietary proteins in your diet, and you must supply enough energy yielding carbohydrates and fats. So the protein DRI depends on your body size. So usually it's 0.8 grams per kilogram, but for athletes it's 1.2 or to 1.7 grams per kilogram. And all this must be below 35% of the all the calories that you intake for it to be basically healthy. Um, so some high quality proteins, so that includes meat and eggs, and these are enough of all essential amino acids. Low quality would include plants, and they're low in one or more essential amino acids. Eliminating an amino acid is the essential one that is present in the lowest quality in a certain protein. And then complementary proteins is like two or more low quality proteins that are missing opposite amino acids. So you can mix them and take them together. And if you eat them both together, they will equal one high quality protein. So for example, if you eat like a bean and then a vegetable, it will equal eating like a meat, for example. Okay, so we're talking about nitrogen balance. Uh, you'll have a positive nitrogen balance if you're using more of it. So this is when you're pregnant, or you're a baby, or you're a bodybuilder. Now, negative nitrogen balance is an undersupply. This is when you're an astronaut or old, or your muscles are breaking down. Okay, so proteins in foods, 70% is from animals in a Western diet, and then water-packed tuna is the highest protein quality or content, which is 87%. Grains have 2 to 3 grams per serving. Vegetables have 1 to 3. Fruit have less than 1 gram. Dairy has 8 to 10. Meat has 7 to 10, and then nuts have 5 to 8. So protein deficiency, this is the breakdown of muscles, and children are more susceptible. Kwashiorkor is a severe protein deficiency classified by the failure to grow, bloated belly, abrolacedema, apathy, diarrhea, and a severe response to infection. Marasmus is the severe undernutrition of carbohydrates, protein, and fat, so all of those, and is a result of no breastfeeding. No subcutaneous fat, there is wasting of fat muscle and stunted growth. Okay, so if you have a protein excess, so high protein diets can cause weight loss due to a caloric reduction. Animal-derived high protein and fat diets may cause heart disease. Acid from Western diet can cause bone demineralization or loss. And then calories can cause cancer cell growth. A gluten-free diet from celiac disease will exclude wheat, barley, and rye. And then overweight adults, which is 70% of US adults, risk the death of obesity, which is the same as smoking risk of death. So they will be at risk for obesity related illnesses like cardiovascular disease, stroke, cancer, diabetes, and hypertension. Then chronic diseases include osteoarthritis, gallbladder disease, and gout, which is a defect in the uric acid metabolism. Inflammation from harming adipokines, which regulate metabolism, and inflammation can, cause bad metabolism and inflammation. And then an abdominal hernia, which is weak spots or tears in the abdominal wall and cause bulges and fat. You could also have pregnancy complications like blood pressure and infection and diabetes. Now, 1% of US adults are underweight, on the other hand, and they risk survival during a siege, famine, low recovery from injuries, wasting disease, cancer, fertilities, deficiencies, and thin hair. Central obesity will risk metabolic syndrome, so it will be increasing the glucose, blood pressure, HDL, triglycerides, and abdomen. And it increases both visceral and subcutaneous fat. Apple shaped obesity is classified by visceral and subcutaneous um, fat, and then abs are less large than hips. And then pear obesity is classified by subcutaneous, and your abs are smaller than your hips. Fat distribution influencers include lipid metabolism proteins like adrenoceptors, lipase, leptin, and apolipoproteins. And androgen influences men's subcutaneous fat, and then estrogen will manage women's breast fat. A high low fat diet will influence fat distribution, and then also exercise correlates with more subcutaneous fat than visceral fat. Well, if you are fat, it literally goes to like 3 factors contributing to it. So first your BMI, and then your waist circumference, and then your disease risk. So if you have a larger than 30 BMI, that's you need treatment, that's required. And then if it's 25 to 30, you're overweight. 18 to 25, you're healthy, and then below 18.5 is underweight. If you are above a 35-inch waist in a woman or above 40 inches in men's, then you need weight loss. And then your blood lipid profile will show you risk for cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, glucose intolerance, and hypertension. The energy store change in your body would be your energy in through food and beverages minus energy out, which is exercise and metabolism. Bomb calorimetry will measure your heat of combustion during using heat, water, and high pressure oxygen. Calorie needs are determined by activity and weight, so your basal metabolic rate is all involuntary activities necessary to sustain life, like circulation, respiration, temperature maintenance, hormone secretion, and does not include digestion. And then voluntary activities like eating, activity, sleep, etc. And then your diet induced thermogenesis, which is a sped up metabolism in response to eating a meal. So basically, your energy expenditure of a normal person will be 50 to 60% BMR, 25 to 50% exercise, and then 5 to 10% thermogenesis. BMR influencers, your BMR will be higher if you are young, tall, growing, like children, pregnant women. If you're a man, because you have lean body mass. If you have a fever, stress, adjusting your temperature, or have high thyroxine. It's lower when you're fasting and malnourished. The Harris-Benedict equation for estimating energy requirement would be 10 times your weight in kilograms plus 6.5 times your height in centimeters minus 5 times your age in years. Then you will add 5 if you're male and then subtract 161 if female. And then your total energy expenditure will be your BMR times 1.53 if you're sedentary. It'll be times 1. Oh, sorry. Let's see. Give me a second. I wrote something down very wrong. Okay, it's BMR times 1.53 if you're sedentary, and then time 1.76 if you're moderately active, and then it'll be times 2.25 if you're highly active. Direct calorimetry measures heat produced by body, which is energy expenditure, whereas indirect calorimetry will measure oxygen consumption and carbon dioxide production, which will relate to nutrient types. You can measure your body fat by underwater weighing, air displacement, bioelectrical impedance, dual energy X-ray absorptiometry, DEXA, and skin fold thickness. Hunger is a response to chemical messengers directed by your hypothalamus, and is like influenced by ghrelin in the stomach, will trigger hunger and increases when on a diet. The insulin in your pancreas that suppresses hunger after blood sugar increase. PYY in the small intestine that counters ghrelin and suppresses hunger. Leptin in your adipose tissue will suppress hunger as its level keeps increasing. Your appetite will stimulate eating and can occur without hunger, which means it's a false hunger. It can be affected by drugs, cultural habits, environment, hormones, learned preference, social interaction, and disease. So, physiological slash sensory influences. So, your hunger and your appetite will have you start your meal. You'll keep eating because of cognitive influence, and then you'll start feeling satiation by post ingestive influences, and then you'll actually be uh, satiated or like satiety after post absorptive influences. So, satiation and satiety is regulated by leptin in the adipokines and then arises from your mouth, stomach, small intestine, and brain. So, in your mouth, it will cause a sensation of pleasure, but it will diminish from repeated exposure. In your stomach, your nerve stretch receptors will sense the fullness of your stomach. In your SI, the nutrients will stimulate receptor nerves and trigger PYY release. And your brain will detect absorbed nutrients delivered by bloodstream and respond to that hunger. So, obesity inside your body, there's a set point theory that body organs regulate fat. You also have thermogenesis, intestinal microbiota, genetics, and environment. Outside your body, you have physical inactivity and specific neighborhoods and environment. So, national goals to reverse obesity epidemic, you have physical activity priority, healthy food availability, easy food choice environment, and advertised health in schools and policies. Maintaining a healthy body weight, you gotta have motivation, achievable goals, keep records, and reality check. Keep track of your eating patterns like fasting, diet, and ketosis, physical activity, and then behavior modification. You evaluate fad diet efficacy and safety. Choose low energy dense foods and non nutritive sweeteners, and then use appropriate calorie intake and portion sizes as well as meal spacing. Physical activity must be paired with diet and behavior in order to lose weight. Advantages can include lean tissue, bone density, low stress, and satiation. For behavior mods, just change your mentality and behaviors. Um, for weight gain, increase your energy density, nutritious calories, and portion sizes. And then also do resistance training. Treatments for obesity, you have medications like bupropion, liaglutide, semaglutide, setmelanotide, and orlistat. Surgeries include gastric bypass, like an outlet from the stomach to the SI, or gastric banding, which is reducing the esophagus stomach opening. You could also have infection reflux and deficiencies from these treatments. Gimmicks include sauna, steam, botanicals, herbals, and cellulite. Eating disorders can begin early in life and affect everyone, mostly young women. It can be caused by societal pressure, media messages, stress, and emotional eating. Anorexia nervosa is a self-starvation with excessive exercise and water, characterized by weight loss, irrational fear of weight gain, and then denial of hunger. Symptoms can be anemia, low blood pressure, low BMR, HR, WBCs, potassium, and iron, um, as well as body temperature, fainting, and death. Family will be competitive, rigid, over-involved, and overbearing. It's 90% female. And warning signs include dieting focus, compulsive exercise, irritable, hostile, period ceases, which is amenorrhea. Treatment includes intervention, nutritional therapy by disciplinary team approach. Bulimia nervosa is binge eating and purging, so they'll be slightly or normal weight or slightly above. It's characterized by secretive, they're aware of the problem, depression, impulsive, and no self control. Symptoms include tooth decay from stomach acid, low potassium, salivary gland swelling, ulcer, bleeding, and sudden death. Family is disengaged or loosely organized with many conflicts, affects a lot of adults of a college age. Warning signs will include binge purge cycle once for 3 weeks. It'll be binge, purge, depression, and then binge, and then repeat. Treatments is psychotherapy and group therapy. Now, binge eating disorder respond to more treatment readily, and they will binge without the purge. It's 40% male, and parents might have comforted the child with food instead of emotions. It develops in people who have never learned to deal with emotions appropriately, and then treatment includes consulting. The female athlete symptom triad is menstrual dysfunction, low energy, and low bone mineral density. Male athletes have weight gain problems. You can prevent all of this by encouraging positive body image, eating, physical behaviors, frequent and enjoyable family meals, and then speaking with youth about nurturing their bodies. Okay, that's it. Bye.